Hello, Belle. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm very happy to have you, and excuse me again. I mean, we learned both something before we started our conversation that Finland is a different time zone than rest of
Mm,
Europe. So this is something we
yeah.
learned. Can you please introduce yourself to the audience and say who you are? Um, what kind of music you're making, and maybe a little bit about your musical background, where you're coming from, and I mean, where you want to go to.
Yeah, well, I'm Belle Phoenix from the Subterranean Sea, which is basically an ongoing project. And the reason that I called it the Subterranean Sea was because of the sounds that I was going for, as well as the process, the artistic process, the kind of alchemical process of going into the depths of like the subconscious mind and things like that. So that's where the name comes from. And the music, it's kind of like I'm on this path that it's not uh, definite. It's kind of like a journey. Like the human, it starts as a child, it grows, it changes, it becomes, you know, the human becomes something else by the end of life. It's kind of that process. So nothing kind of, it's the same because it is coming from a place of authenticity, but in the way that humans evolve and change, it does, the music does too.
Hmm.
As we, because I get a lot of inspiration from the experiences in life, and I literally also try to look for those experiences. I try to find them and and that involves me kind of living my life, like in ways that a lot of other people wouldn't probably want to live their life.
Okay, okay, we're gonna
Different
we're gonna get
different
in.
countries.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna get into this later because yeah, this is sounds
Not so
intriguing.
soon.
Hmm. Okay, so but just to finish this thing, so what's your musical background? This is, what instruments you play. I see a guitar there for the people on the podcast; they would not see that. But so you play guitar, or what was your musical upbringing? With
Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty much everything. And I mean, my grandfather played vaudevillian type polkas. He was Finnish,
hmm.
so I was really into that kind of twisted, twisted kind of vaudevillian European um, waltzes and tangos and jazz, I guess you would call it,
Hmm.
because
Okay.
And I started guitar. I got this is the first time I've seen a guitar, an electric guitar, in 2 years.
Okay.
So I'm really excited because a friend of mine actually gifted me with this.
Okay.
Like I got it 2 days ago.
Wow. And it looks new. I
It's
mean,
it's cheap,
it's cheap, but
but
it's
it's
a
a Fender
Squire.
Mustang
First one.
Squire,
Okay. Okay.
perfect for me
But it
being
doesn't look
kind
so
of.
cheap. It doesn't look cheap at all, I think.
It feels so good. That's what
Hmm.
I'm about with guitars.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter what brand it is exactly. I mean, I choose Fender. No, actually, Fender chose me. But these guitars seem to be, even when they're clean off the production line, they seem to be quite beautiful to play.
Hmm.
They're not like any other kind of guitar where, for me anyway. So that's the chosen one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you ask me, but this is just. I like the sound of a Les Paul a little bit more because it's more punchy. But I'm coming more
Sure.
from the gothic rock thing, and then it's you and this Fender is usually a little bit more like, I don't know, like Dire Straits or something. It's more.
No, 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 no. No, it's more punk. It
Yeah,
lends
it's a little
itself
bit
to
more
more of
clashy,
a
more
punk
loud.
trajectory, and also an experimental trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good for experimental playing. But yeah, I love the Les Pauls too, because one of my guitarists played a Les Paul, and I remember playing it, and it was so heavy. You know, it was
that's
like,
exactly the tone I like. But so I mean, like you just
and it
said,
was a
it's
gold top.
a what?
It was a gold top. You know, that beautiful, absolutely beautiful guitars. I love them too. It
Okay.
depends on what sound, you know, because I'm only one element of guitar in the band anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, others will play, you know, the Guild seems to be a popular one. And
So
the Gibsons obviously are hugely popular. So
that's true. Yeah. So
it
maybe,
depends on who's playing.
yeah. I mean,
There's
this
a
is
Gibson on the album.
nice. Okay. I mean, this
Yeah.
is of course, you know, a good guitar player can do a lot with a shitty guitar, and a shitty guitar player can have the best guitar, and it still sounds like nothing. So yeah, I mean, but of course, if you have a better tool and a good musician, but like you said, it doesn't really matter where you want to go to. So, and I want to go to, that's a segue.
Segue.
I want to, now I want to go to, because you already alluded a little bit to that. How is your music coming about? You know, you already said it's kind of, it's kind of all over the place, and you get inspiration from everywhere, and I get that. You know, as an artist, you know, everything you see a newspaper article, it inspires you to do something. You know, you have a feeling and you have something in your head. But how do your music really come together? You have an idea for some lyrics, and then you say it to your friends, or because as I understand, or maybe you explain it to me, and I just give you the point that the Subterranean Sea is kind of like a conglomerate of different people, and you kind of choose who to play with in a certain moment or for a certain song. So for me, it seems like. So can you explain this a little bit?
So a lot of the songs will kind of emerge. And for me, it's a very Jungian type songwriting process, which means that it's a delving into the subconscious mind and bringing and sort of accepting the ideas as they come through. Then it's about, okay, it's this sound, which is pretty much the core of the sound, which never changes, is always a gothic, doom, rock, but not a normal rock, you know. It's more with a punk element and an experimental element. There's underlying layers of different musical energies. And it starts like that. And then the players are chosen for obviously their own sound. So then I don't have to sort of mold them or carve them or give them directions. So then it becomes, the art comes from everyone.
Okay.
You know, they all add their own.
No, I get that. I get
whatever
that.
it is, you know, their own feelings or their own spirit to the little, you know, well, let's say it's a little flame and I give them the little, that's it. There it is. See, look, the analogy, little flame. I give it to them, it gets bigger. It's the same element of, it's the same sound.
Okay.
But, you know, it's the same spirit.
Hmm.
We're like comrades. Can I
Okay.
smoke? I'm not allowed.
You can smoke. That's no problem. Um, okay. No, and I get that. So you basically you start the song, and then everyone else chips in and brings in his or her its
Yeah.
own experience, and I completely get that. But still, this doesn't answer my question, and maybe it's too, I don't know, um, strange or whatever. How do you get, or from your biography, I read that you work with different musicians, and you know, how do you choose the musician for the song?
Mm,
This is what I was gearing to.
mm,
But it's kind of like
mm.
you have this spark, and it's more like, I don't know. It's this dark song, and you think, oh man, I would need this kind of guitar for it. And when you send it, so this is what I think you might do, or that's the question
It,
to you. How you chose the persons
it's
you want to
it's
do the
like
song.
it's like so the element that never changes is the gothicness of
Hmm.
the music, regardless of if it has a sort of punk rock top on it. Icing, there's
Yeah.
always bats flying out of it somewhere. Like,
Okay.
if I can
Hmm.
describe each song, there's a bats flying out. I mean, that's the visual I always get. I'm
Hmm.
always in a dark cave looking at the light, from a distance. It's
Okay.
like a it's like a Finnish thing, right? You would know being a Deutsch because I know Deutschland because I live there.
This
And I
is
tell
Finnish,
you,
but
it's
not
so
the end. I always like this joke. This is Finnish, but not the end.
the Finns have some connection with the darkness,
Hmm.
like the
Hmm.
the Deutsch people, I think. Not all
Yeah,
Deutsch,
and they're
obviously, but
also.
I mean the people I was hanging out with,
Hmm.
But the thing is so it's more for me, it's about a spirit of someone,
Hmm.
like say Julitha Ryan, for instance, who played the dark cello on the Devil's Son. You would have to meet this wonderful woman, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, if, I can't explain the energy that comes out of her. When she plays, I mean, she really feels it. It's
Hmm.
it's it's some kind of exorcism. When she
Hmm.
plays, she's an amazing person. So that's my sister.
Hmm.
I want her. you know, it's like that. There's
Hmm.
my brother. I want him. It's like you recognize the twin flame.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
no.
when you meet a lover or you go on a date. You
Hmm.
like, there's a reason you like that person. There's some
Okay.
element, you know. So it's a bit like that for me. It's like, oh, there's another kindred spirit.
Hmm.
They'll get it. And not everyone gets the darkness, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, and especially in Australia, can be very hard to find the people that understand the sort of dark side of the music, because Australia is so out in Kapaista, Finland, sunshine,
Hmm.
everywhere. And so that is what I look for mostly. But so with, say, Mark Platty, who produced Dead Inside, and I mean, it was a very band effort, right? But
Hmm.
in that regard, it was a bit of a different kind of darkness. It was more sci-fi. Don't know how to explain it. What do you
Okay.
think? You tell me. It reminded me of like something like June, like the David Lynch film June. It's sort of surreal and it's a little bit, I don't know how to explain the song.
Okay.
It's definitely got the gothic vibes.
No, it does. It's the one,
Yeah,
it's the one I found you with, and I really love. It's a great song. It's just, I don't know. It really it what I really like on it. It never gets boring. You can put it in a loop, and it doesn't it doesn't it doesn't get boring. It's a cool song. Um, but my question was more geared towards that. You know, let's say you have all these kindred spirits and you have all these people you click with, but they don't have time all the time. So how do you? You're in Finland, and some of these are in Melbourne or in Australia or in United States or wherever. So how do you get the people to commit to making the music with you? Because it's not. You said this one was a band effort, but I see it more, or I have not really understood it yet. From outside, I perceive it that you have like a collective of people, and this is the
yeah,
Subterranean Sea where you kind of get in and out, and whatever you need or want, you take for the song or for the performance or whatever.
yeah.
Um,
So
but
it's what the song wants.
hmm
The
okay.
song will decide what it wants to be,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
It
It's
makes
sort of
sense, but
like,
it doesn't
yeah.
answer the question what you how you get the people to the song. That's
Oh,
I compl-
friends.
I
Yeah, mainly just friends, like
hmm
it's all in one big family.
hmm okay.
We
So
either did shows together or I've met them through other people that I know musically. It's really just my trajectory of playing shows everywhere and meeting people and, you know, knowing meeting the people and becoming friends,
hmm
jamming on things or, but like I was saying with Jalitha, it was more an instantaneous thing. Like, there she is. She was
hmm
actually playing with one of my friends
okay.
and who also was on the album. So, but I hadn't met her and I met her through him. So it was sort of, she's the one, she'll get it. It's sort of like, I guess, a similar thing to if someone's making a movie
hmm
and they need particular characters for the movie.
hmm
It's that kind of thing, for me.
okay. So
Yeah.
you're just in the lucky position to
But I don't dictate it. You
no
know what I
no
mean? I just
I
know they're going to be the right one.
hmm no
They'll
I
add
get
their
it.
thing, So it's a
This
very organic process.
but it
Yeah.
still means to that you have that you are in the lucky position actually to have all these friends and that you found them already. So this was kind of my first question, where you come from music wise, because now you kind of showing that you played a lot of shows and you met a lot of people apparently, and so this is kind of where you picked up all the people and the pieces you need for the puzzle to make your music possible. So
Yeah.
that you can be just the spark, and then you kind of let it out in the world, and then it comes back as this tune, and um, so how do you perform this live then? When you have I mean, past COVID, of course. What is
Mm.
how do you do a live performance? Because
Mm.
as I see it, your friends are all over the world, and that's cool, But
Yeah.
for a live performance, we cannot fly in, to play every concert with you. How do you do it? Do you do it alone, or with backing tracks, or you get
No.
some people around from same
No,
area?
well, so I have hopefully COVID permitting, you know,
hmm
I've got a tour and some festival, maybe with an S on the end,
hmm
coming up in 2022.
hmm
Basically, Beast Records in France took me under their wing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I was able to release the vinyl. So, yeah, there it is. Blood red. I can't help it. But
Wow.
we managed to be able to get...
It's a look through, isn't it? No, it's not a look through.
Yeah, it's got... This is the limited edition.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like 2 left.
Ooh.
But there's a drop of my blood in each of these red vinyl. Yeah, I went to the extent of the art kind of extended itself into this. So, yeah, that was care of Beast Records. Yeah. So but I've got black vinyl. I've got heaps of black vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the black is really descriptive of subsea. You go down to the subsea and it's black. There's no light, and there's just weirdness down there. So that it's all a manifestation. It's another extension of the art.
Mm-hmm.
So where were we? Yeah. So basically, the guys from Australia will be coming over to France to play.
Cool.
People that played on the album, yeah. So that's definitely in the works.
Okay, for 2022. No, but this sounds feasible, because this year I think.
Well, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we just don't, fingers crossed, whatever. But
yeah, I know, it's like.
It needs
like
anyway. One day it needs to be kind of back to normal. So okay, but
I'm hoping.
This answers my question. So there is, let's talk about it right now. So there is some tour plans and stuff for next year, then. Okay, to support the album. Okay,
yeah.
I just write it down. March. Okay, and for the song here, "Dead Inside," there was a nice video. Is there some more visuals planned? Because because I think your music lends itself quite. I mean, a lot of music lends itself to it, but with all the gothic imagery, it's. I think there could be a lot of things done. Is there something
sure.
in the works?
I've always got hundreds of ideas on the burner.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds, like it never ends, but what I had to do was do what I could in the COVID situation. And also it was an idea that I had and I wanted to try it, so I did it.
Yep. Okay. No.
Yeah. So
it turned out nicely.
But there's always layers and layers of ideas. Kind of, you got to know when to stop as well and move on, because there's another album, 2 albums I've got sitting on the waiting, waiting to go out to the world, and so you kind of. I'd love so much for that imagery, because I think it's quite cinematic. It belongs with a movie or something like that. But that was my expression of it as well. The dancing.
It was. I mean, I liked it. It was a little bit like.
What I mean?
Pulp Fiction kind of. It added. It was a good one for the limitations, I guess, you faced at the time. So
I guess it was kind of so 1 glass of water, 1 drop. It was a drop of the possibilities of what it could be. So it was still authentic, but it was a drop of authenticity rather than a glass of, a full glass of water.
Yeah, I get
so,
it.
Yeah, so even though it was done the way it was still trying to honor the art in some way, even if it was just a tiny bit of the spark, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I don't really think of Pulp Fiction much about it, but I think more of The Cramps. You know, that's kind of where I feel, you know, this kind of trashy,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it, but like to me, that's the closest that and I mean, I don't have a lot of references because I don't listen enough to music. I do love to listen to music a lot, but because I'm making it all the time, I find it hard to. My friends send me music all the time, you know, and I'm blown away. And obviously watching your show was amazing as well, you know.
Thank
like
you.
There's so much amazing music, you know. Really, I mean, you could sit all day and watch it on. I mean, I'm still going through the YouTubes of your journey, you know, with all this amazing
this is
eclectic music, you know.
Thank you. Yeah, you
it's
are one
such a
of
great thing what you're doing, you know.
you're
It's
one
really
of a
amazing.
few people who get it, because you know I think like you, there's so much good music out there, and I guess you know, I grew up that in the past it was like, okay, no, I only listen to metal and I only listen to that, and I hated this, you know, this kind of we were just short-sighted, and so I found my outlet with it. You're talking about my radio show. Thank you for joining again.
Oh, it's great.
I like to play music all over the place. If you listen to my music, you know, for the listeners out there, it's I chose for the show. It's from pop music to death metal. It's everything in between, and all the fringes and stuff. And I love it because
that's one thing I haven't explored enough of is the death metal, black metal, death metal.
You don't need to, but I
I'm
like
kind
it
of
sometimes
afraid of
hard.
it. It's like, don't
you're
go
in
in
Finland.
there.
You're in Finland. You know, you're kind of you should be quite close to it. You know.
I know. I want to go and explore it more because I'm intrigued. But it's COVID, right? You know, stay inside. You know.
Yeah. No.
I'm dead inside. You know?
Exactly.
It's like
no, don't be dead inside. Just
it's
stay
like
inside.
that, you know.
Yeah.
Looking
no,
out your window,
I
like, can I go out today?
No.
You know. God, did we ever? No one saw this coming. I bet, you know, we were all thinking, hey, next year's going to be great, 220. You know?
And I, you know,
no one expected this.
I remember in the starting of when does it start? 2019. Somewhere I was you know, sitting and I was thinking, oh man, this is such a boring time, you know, nothing really happens, you know, and you know, be careful what you wish for, because when, you know, COVID hit and things spiraled out of proportion.
Wash hands,
yeah,
stay
exactly.
inside, you know. I don't know, Germany was different, but
no,
that's what I was hearing from Australia.
We also wash
stay
hands.
inside.
Yeah. You know, my wife, by the way, is from Australia, so you know, she's from
Is
Melbourne. She is, yes.
Is she? Oh, she's from the dark part of Australia.
she's what? From the dark
dark side of Australia. Yeah, Melbourne.
See.
That's where all the really cool rock and roll comes from, and all the gothic and and the more punk sort of surf punk stuff comes from Brisbane, and some of that's really good too. You know, they're dark, but not in the same way as the Melbournes. You know, the Melbournes are always wearing the, you know, they're vampires. They're like the Finns.
My wife is a little bit different.
Maybe your wife's
she listens
different.
to K-pop. You know, she's not into the music I like, so we don't see eye to eye in this thing. But it's fine,
but
you know.
That's what makes it nice, eh? You know,
exactly.
Yeah.
I see it more as a benefit, because, you know, if you have somebody who it would be cool if she would like some of my stuff, but in a way, she always offers another perspective, from the outside
Yeah,
stuff, and
sure,
she challenges
sure.
me with the things she listens to. Because when she wants
Yeah,
me, oh, do you like that? And I'm like, okay, this is
yeah.
K-pop. Yeah, I
Everyone's
mean,
different, and everyone, you know,
hmm
they've got to listen to what makes them feel good. And that's why it's so great that we've got all these different types of music, regardless whether it's pop or it's not, or,
hmm
it's so everyone can have a piece of the pie, you know.
Yep,
If we
exactly.
all just had rock and roll, people would be bored out of their mind if they weren't that type of person.
hmm
I think rock and roll's sort of, and when I say rock and roll, that includes gothic, punk, all the stuff,
I know,
right?
I know.
I just sum it up,
hmm
rock and roll. But I think it's kind of reserved for a more, it is masculine for sure. Like it's a masculine thing.
hmm
But I really appreciate that. But I think it's also reserved for people that have suffered a bit.
hmm
When you've had a bit of a more of a hard journey,
hmm
it gives you a different perception, on life. And I always wanted to do pop, I tried. I did try. I got signed
hmm
doing these pop songs, and they weren't really pop. They weren't 100% pop. But in my head, they were pop. It's like saying Joy Division, that's pop,
hmm
to me, but it's
Okay.
not. But I got signed by a major label on that stuff, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the journey. It wasn't me,
hmm
so, but I respect it all, you know.
hmm
It's all, I can respect. There's something about, sort of gothic rock and roll music that, I don't know, it kind of forces you. I've realized that now because I've been listening to Finnish sort of, what's his name? Maailma on kaunis ja hyvä elää sillä,
Okay.
accordion.
Okay. So more
Yeah,
like
right.
folk music or
Sort
something.
of this kind of tongue-in-cheek jazz. It's
Okay.
kind of pop to me in some ways. Anyway, just out of trying to learn the language.
Mm.
But then I started playing it, and I'm like, wow, this is so easy compared to what I do. I was thinking, it's so easy. Why don't I just make life so easy on myself? Why don't I just play the 3 chords? And I mean, a lot of the songs are that, but there's a lot more to them. There's a lot more intricacies and, So I was thinking, wow, it's so much more, C, D, E, make life easy, play pop, I don't know. But for my songs, there's all this intricacies inside them, and then I realized how much hard work I've been doing to try and create these meshes of fusions of sounds, I realized that when I started to play other people's music, like pop, sort of, yeah. Like Leonard Cohen, he just does,
Yeah, but he also he adds something to it. It's not just
he
what
does, yeah.
I think we could agree here. What I think that good music makes is it's not how many chords you put in or what chord
No.
progressions or something. It's something between the notes. There is if you have like a metaphysical, I don't know really how to put it, but there needs to be something between the notes, something what holds it together and what adds, that is more than just the how you say the sum of its parts. That's great music. If you come together, like Cohen is a good example. You have a great voice, you have a guitar, and but there is more to it. If you listen to his songs, and if he even just uses the guitar and his voice, you hear something more. This is the greatest songs I know, that you play them and you hear, I don't know, the orchestra in the background, even if it's not there or something, you know. This is kind of a spherical things, and some songs do that, and it doesn't matter if they take 3 chords or 10 or whatever.
Sure.
Some kind of get you trick or tickle your brain to get more out of it, even if it's not there, you know, not physical there or
I agree
something.
totally.
And
Yeah.
this are the best songs, you know, when you there is a hidden message in it, and it, you know, this is where music really is something special. That's okay. We could talk forever about
Yeah, we could.
how music
Yeah.
is treated today, but this is sometimes where I'm kind of really sad that you know, music today is Spotify aligned and you know, algorithm aligned and whatever, and but this is kind of doesn't give it justice, because music can be so much more. If you're in a bad place, it can take you to a good place, or if you wanna be in the
Totally.
sad bad place, it can keep you there, and
Yeah.
and gives you also something to hold on to, and also you know, emotion wise,
Yeah.
it's like you said, the picture with a movie, you know, a good movie kind of transforms your view of a world and kind of helps you to kind of look at you better, because you get an outside perspective. And this is also what a good song does. It kind of puts you in
Sure.
another shoes, and puts you in a good mood, just lets you dance, or just let you
Yeah.
be sad,
Yeah.
and but
Yeah.
you know, also enjoy the sadness, because this is, I guess, where to give it back to you, where pop sometimes is too short, that it's always fun and always, you know, flashy and always
Yeah. Yeah.
and
But
life
I mean,
is
like
not that.
when summer hits
Hmm.
Finland, it's kind of talking about Finland again, but when it's great to get outside in the sun and listen, you know, like one of the songs on the album Blossom of Love is a
Hmm.
bit like that, you know. It's not exactly pop, it's more of a, I don't know what it is. It's got, I call it, I'll tell you what I call it. It's a dark, if I want to make a cocktail
Hmm.
for this song Blossom of Love, I'm going to call it Blossom of Love. It's going to be called a dark tropical delusion.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how that song makes me feel. It's like, and I always call it a gothic holiday.
Hmm.
That's how I describe that song. But to some people, it's really pop. It's
Hmm.
not really pop in the modern sense of pop.
Hmm.
It's more Shangri-La's
Hmm.
kind of, not really, but elements of it, maybe. Not that I was going for that at all, but later people mentioned,
Hmm.
other musicians said, oh, you know.
Hmm.
But so I think there's also, you know, like sometimes you feel like you want to be stupid and dance to ABBA,
Hmm.
or do you know what I'm saying? Like K-pop, you want to just
Yeah, and this is fine too, you know. I mean,
be silly. You want to be
exactly,
silly sometimes. You know, you
exactly.
want to let go. You want to, you know, and all my friends, no matter how freaking rock and roll they are or how much black they wear, they're still having fun sometimes, you know, and being
Hmm.
silly. So, you know,
Hmm.
I just think it's being human, you know, like, and space in music is fantastic. I love this, having space in music, but also me and Mark Plady fought about this, and Mark played with Bowie more in the later stuff and the more experimental stuff. But we used to have fights about it. I'd say less is more, and he'd
Hmm.
say more is less. You know,
Hmm. Okay.
do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Less is more is less. It's all, it depends what you feel.
Hmm.
You know,
But
for me, that's the barometer, is the emotion behind the music is the barometer that
yeah,
tells you
and I think
where
you
to
said it
go.
in the beginning also. You let the song decide, and this is always
Yeah.
the best thing anyway. If a song,
I try to stay out of the thinking zone.
hmm.
I can't read music. And
Mm,
besides, my eyes are like really bad. So it's kind of lucky that I can't read music, because if I had to rely on reading music, I wouldn't probably be able to play with my eyesight the way it is. So
Okay.
I rely on feel and, you know, emotion and expression to sort of guide it, you know, and that will determine, is there space, is there no space, you know. But God, I love music with space in it too, like, you know, the minimal kind of spooky stuff. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head right now, but like Swans kind of do that. They're kind of that kind of, you know, dramatic, orchestral, gothic style, experimental stuff. Yeah, I like so many bands. I mean, it's, you know, like you, it's
me too. Me too. It's but you know, I kind of I started to accept it. You know, that's kind of, I love a lot. So that's just me. I'm all over the place, and I love it. So
I was going to say, sorry to cut you off, but I was going to say about Spotify. Like, I was in two minds about the whole sort of technological era, and as you can tell, like, I love the vinyl. Like, I'm all about the old school way of doing things. Like, most people record in their room at home. No, it's not going to happen for me. I go to the studio. I get the sound, the engineer that's been doing it for 20 years, working on some, like Lindsay Gravina, who did some sound production on they call it post-production, I guess, but on Roland S. Howard's music, you know. So I go the old school way. It's a lot harder and it's a lot more effort. You know, like you said, putting bands together, getting people overseas, you know, going to the recording studios, putting all your life's money into everything, you know, like playing the instruments without. I'm not against digital, by the way. I've got friends that do it. But I think there's a lot more discipline to it. But I don't think that it's smart. I don't think it's a good idea to reject digital music, because there's a lot of cool stuff out there digitally. And Spotify, I mean, I've found it great. I've got so many more followers now than I ever would have had if Spotify didn't exist, you know. So I've blended the two. You know, I just keep the old school method of making music alive, you know, and I use the modern way to, you know, get it to people. So Spotify, I'm not against. I think it's like any other tool, you know, that you, like if it wasn't Spotify, you'd have to go through a record company. And there was limitations to record companies. You know, they limit, because a lot of record companies, the majors anyway, they want a package, you know. K-pop, they want a package. It's got to be this. The girls have got to be this thin. If they're not this thin, like, I don't know if you've heard stories about K-pop, but anyone with daughters will freak out because these girls are starving themselves to be the perfect image for the record company or the people that own them. They are owned. They are a product. So, I mean, for me, it's like, well, what do I choose? I choose the art. I do the hard road. I stay poor. You know, that's just part of it, I guess. I've just accepted that now. That's what you got to do. Work really hard. You know, buy your clothes from secondhand shops. Be okay with your weight. It's going to be all right. But really practice your instruments until your fingers bleed. You know, like sing every day, write every day. You know, practice the craft, hone it every day. You know, and that is what I committed to. So I've been signed to the major. I know the process. I know how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be a product, you know. I don't mind being signed. I'm happy with that, but only on my own terms,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as I am, for what I am, you know. And I'm not against thin women, but what I'm against is young girls, beautiful young girls, suffering in the most dreadful kind of way just so that they can have a job, you know, in music.
Mm.
And then be spat out 10 years later, you know. Sorry, we got some new girls now and we don't need you anymore. It's not really. And these girls work, you know, they got talent, they dance. I mean, they put in hours and hours of, you know, that's what I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't support it. But I'm not against it, you know what I mean? And I'm not against Spotify. I think it's allowed people to, you know, remain DIY, remain independent,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and be able to make money out of it as well at the same time. I'm sure there'll be problems with it in the future, but it'll just morph into another thing, you know. They'll just make it better probably. Who knows, you know. But I like it. I mean, you're on it and I've discovered some amazing, you know, tracks on yours. So, you know, I'm thinking I'm not against it, you know.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean. Okay, what I meant, yeah, I see it like you. Spotify is a good tool, you know, and thank you for checking my things. And what I find amazing, you know, my biggest fan base is in Mexico. I would have without Spotify, I would have never been in Mexico. You know, I mean, how could I?
That's
you know?
amazing.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. That's a cool thing. What I meant and what I really don't like is if people make songs especially for the Spotify algorithm, you know, because
I see what you're saying.
this strains the creativity, because the chorus needs to be right in the first 30 seconds so that it catches the hearer and keep it like 1 minute 30 at the most, because then you can play it more often and you get more play. So this is kind of what I find. You know, if you check my songs, most of them are like 6 minutes or something. So absolutely not Spotify reliant, and this is what I meant. So, but it's the way it is, you know. Like I don't know, with Snapchat or something, you know, that's only or TikTok. It's only for 30 seconds and then it's gone. Or maybe I'm a little bit too old for this kind of stuff. But I'm a father.
No, I don't think so. I understand what you're saying. You know,
yeah. I will learn maybe from my daughter. She's 8 now. Let's see what she comes up with. What will be the new next thing when she grows up. So let's see about that. Maybe we talk a little bit more about your journey, because your journey was quite literally a journey all over the world. So can you maybe walk us through here a little bit, because it seems like you lived everywhere. You lived in Germany as well, you said, and so what was your musical and your geographical journey about?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember. It's a blur.
You
like
you
sort
made
of
it so
entering
fast.
into it's like entering into a cyclone and never coming back, you know. That's what it feels like.
I see.
There was, and I'm still recovering. But so yeah, you know, I lived in the UK and I did a lot of gigs in London and I did some festivals there, and I did, you know, I was in New York, I did some shows there, I did shows in Canada. I think it was North by Northeast. I didn't. The problem was I documented nearly everything, but I felt like I was sort of like swept away into this cyclone of shows and countries, and people, hundreds of people going like that, you know, like I don't know how to explain it, but it was sort of like, you know, swept into this cyclone of stuff, musical path. And I don't know what to say. It's it was pretty challenging. I was in all kinds of places and with people, you know, some people I didn't know that well, and you know, different band, you know, musicians, you know, different kind of gigs in little pubs, you know, kind of bigger venues like theatres and houses, people's houses, and what I'm saying is like it was, I don't know how to explain. The only thing that feels right is that I was swept up by a cyclone. You know, that feeling of just being, you know, if you've ever been in the waves, you go diving into the wave and it just dumps you. Like in Australia, you get that.
Under.
Yeah, and you just go, and then people say, "What? Are you okay? You know, I saw you got dumped." Yeah, I think so. Tell me about it. Well, you know, there's so much to talk about, but you know,
okay. And
I don't have. There was a tour. I remember one story after the tour. It wasn't that long, by the way. It was only about 6 months, but it was constant every day. Like, and at the end of it, because I didn't sleep for 6 months, and at the end of it, I was at my boyfriend's house at the time, and we were having dinner, and the soup was there, and I just went like that and just fell asleep in the soup. You know, it was sort of like that. The energy required to do that kind of thing, and especially as an unsigned DIY artist. I mean, I was signed, but I didn't get the support because it was. So I got signed on this particular style of music, and I decided to do my own music, what I wanted, what I felt was right. And I didn't get the support for that, you know. So I went off and I did my own thing. You know, I went and worked with Mark Platty. I went to New York by myself. I went when I was in New York, I got homeless for a little bit, not too long. And I started interviewing homeless people, you know, on the streets of New York. And that's how the song New York City came about. It came back, it got recorded later after New York. But you know what I mean? Like, so this kind of situation, you know, sort of living on the edge of your pant, you know, living on the edge of your seat all the time, you know, not knowing what's going to happen exactly. But you know, the one true thing, the one thing that you're clinging to is your truth. You know, your musical expression, your truth. You just hate, that's all you got. There's nothing else, you know, there's nothing else. Just the truth and music. Hang on, you know, because everything else can go. You know, you can become homeless, you can have no money, you can end up becoming an alcoholic quite easily, which I almost did, but I don't drink anymore. You know, stints of various hardships, you know, to get that one album to the surface, to the people. The one album that was my own expression, not what the record company wanted, you know. Hard. Really, really difficult. But, you know, so New York City was amazing. I met heaps of amazing musicians. I ended up, in the end, I stayed with David Bowie's drummer Campbell Sterling in his apartment. He gave it to me because he had to go on tour because of my situation with, you know, no money. And, you know, and then, you know, there was London, which I was homeless there as well for a bit. I stayed in a friend's house, and he locked me in his house for 3 days with his cats. Don't ask.
Okay.
This is the kind of situations, you know. You know, there was all kinds of challenges and hardships, and, you know, really, you know, but it does help you to get more into yourself in some way. You know, how strong are you exactly? You know, what kind of challenges can you take as a musician? You know, plus all the time you've got to be practicing, you know, every day, you know, to keep your chops up. So that's what it was like for me. It wasn't glamorous, you know, it wasn't and being a woman, you know, and surrounded by a lot of men all the time too, they were great. I mean, I love men, but, you know, you got to be careful of yourself. You got to look after yourself. You can't allow yourself to lose control too much. You don't want to be taken advantage of. You know, you got to know who your friends are. You know, so that I think it's different for a guy because they don't have to worry so much about, you know. And I'm not saying all men are like that either, but the ones that are, you know, as a woman in the musical world of the men, which, you know, create amazing rock and roll music.
Yep.
You know.
Okay.
So
Why,
I don't know. Did that answer the question, or was that sort of off track? Did I go somewhere else?
you once again evaded it a little bit with your explanation, but it's fine. It's fine.
Did I evade?
Because you just you know, you were in the cyclone and in the eye of a storm, and it just got swept away, and that's fine.
I'm quite metaphorical, so I find it really hard to explain, you know, things because I feel everything. I don't see things as much as I feel them. So when I try to explain my journey, all I see in my head is this cyclone. You know? Do you know what I mean? If I went into it, I'd have to write a book. If you know what I mean? It's a book. I have to like sit down and write a book about I can give snippets of what it was like, you know. Like, you know, I won't go there.
Okay.
But I can give snippets of things, you know. It's sort of like behind the scenes.
Let me just give you more specifications for the snippets I would like to hear. It's more because, you know, you did a lot of shows and a lot of tours, and so maybe give me, this is always a fun segment at the end. I'm asking my guests, do you have some you know, funny things that happened on the way to the stage, on the stage, behind the stage? You know, you fell off the stage, or you didn't find the entry to the stage, or something like that. Do you have any funny stories what happened to you while you were on tour or on stage? And the second question, so this is the first question, and the second question is, have you ever been starstruck? You know, that you mentioned that you were in the apartment of a drummer from Bowie. So have you shared the stage with someone you really admire, and you had like a fangirl moment, like, oh, I'm gonna play with? So these two questions I have for you, and it's a little bit more specific.
I kind of don't. In one way, I don't want to answer it because, you know, it's too close to home.
Okay.
And I'm revealing.
But you're a fangirl.
But I will answer it. Okay, I will answer it. Okay, so look, when I do music performance, I'm super. I don't even like this word, but like I'm super professional. You know, it's like I care so much about the show. Everything's got to be right. The microphone's got to be in the right place. The bass player's got to be in the right place. Everything's discussed, you know. It has. I'm quite obsessive that way.
Mm-hmm.
But so touring, I'm very professional. I don't drink, for instance. I'll be sober the whole time. Everything will go like military.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just how I am. It's just because I really care about the show and the music and it being the best it can be. But like, say, with what I've been through, say, the last couple of years, well, no, because COVID, just before COVID, I was honing bands. I was honing ideas rather than doing proper shows. So I was doing a lot of jams live on stage. And therefore, I was kind of drinking a lot more than I normally do. Like, I don't when it's in a professional, you know, when I have to do a show with the band, with the release of the album. But, like, this was sort of me playing around, like a bunch of people in a rehearsal studio type thing, but I'd be doing shows instead. So, you know, I'd have too much to drink and things. So I smashed my guitar on stage one night because out of frustration and, you know, like just silly things, you know, just childish things, you know. And another time was my drummer quit, and we had a massive festival like in 2 days, and it was booked, and I don't know why he quit. We had no animosity. He was a really nice guy. He was from Colombia, but I don't know if he don't know if it was something to do with the festival. And then he said, I can't do it. Something came up. I don't know what it was. I can't remember. And I was like, okay. And I had to replace him. So I replaced him with like a session drummer, which I never use ever, usually. And the session drummer lied to me and told me that he played lots of festivals and big shows. And no, he didn't. And then we got on stage, and my other two players, you know, they're used to heavy duty touring, and, you know, they're like veterans, but he froze, you know, and he started playing like mechanical, like nothing like the songs. And we were in front of like, I don't know, it was thousands. It looked like thousands of people. I mean, it was about 20,000 people. I don't know, something like that. There was a lot of other bands on it. It was a festival. And I just thought, you're you know, you're joking. This is not happening to me, you know. But we worked with it. So that was pretty harrowing. That was something I did not expect at all, because we'd been playing in that band for about a year. And then boom, they were like, yeah, no, you know, can't do the show. I was like, what? You know, and we were all getting a little bit of money from it as well. So I don't know. But that was one challenge. And that was like one of those moments where, you know, you have that dream of like all the musical instruments melting. You know, it's like, oh no, you know, everything just kind of fell apart. So that was really awful. That was an interesting memory. No, I mean, when I play live shows, I'm very, very aware and very inside the music. Like very, very inside the music and the expression, because I'm delivering it. It's like delivering a baby, you know, it's going out. So I'm really in that zone, very meditative, there's no, oops, I didn't see the stage there, or, you know, I've been cathartic. Like when I've been playing guitar, I've had cathartic moments where I've had and I call them my Iggy Pop moments, where, you know, like I'll just get on the floor and like play guitar and roll around and stuff. It's complete expression though. It's a complete, utter expression of the music. And it comes out in this sort of punk way, you know, where I might roll off the stage or, you know, do these kind of antics. But it's like a sort of, as I said before, it's really like an exorcism of emotions that take the body over. It's like being, for me, it's like being possessed. But then when I leave the stage, I'm back to my normal self, whatever that is. But, you know.
I see. So and
Yeah.
did you have any starstruck moments? Anything
Starstruck.
where you changed?
No, we have
you know,
to go
where
here.
you had shared the stage with somebody like, you know, any things there?
Well, I did. I mean, I don't usually get starstruck a lot, but I do feel a kinship and a camaraderie. But I did kind of I met Mick Harvey, who played for Nick Cave in the Bad Seeds, backstage one night. It was completely inappropriate for me to be starstruck on that particular night, because, and I won't go into it, but I was quite starstruck, and I actually ran up to him and gave him a really big hug and said, "Oh, you know, I was really like, oh, I love you." And he was running away and hiding behind this little sort of bar, you know, just for the backstage bands, you know. And also another guy, Gareth, I don't know if you know him, but he's from, can I swear or is it not?
You can
good?
swear, that's fine.
He's from a band called Tropical Fuckstorm.
Okay, never heard of them.
Yeah, Melbourne band. I think you'd really like them. But his name's Gareth Lydiard, and he's from also a band called The Drones. And I was kind of starstruck with him. He's the Aussie, these are my two Aussie idols, icons, you know. I don't know, because I don't know. They both have something that I feel very connected to musically. You know, I think I love the way Mick Harvey plays his instruments, and, you know, he's pretty amazing at what he does, you know, so it's more of that awestruck feeling of, if I could really play, I'd play like that. That's how I'd play, you know. So that's what it is, you know, when someone does the job better than you and they're older and they've had way more experience and they've done so much more than you, you know, they've toured everywhere and probably gone through every kind of experience, musical experience. So, you know, that was really sort of precious for me.
I see.
But he did say, "Oh, you know, have you watched the football?" Let me have my moment, you know. But yeah, you know, I really like him. And that's how I met Jalitha, actually. Jalitha, who played cello on The Devil's Son, she played alongside him as well. So that's not, you know, the reason I picked her was purely because of her playing, but she's pretty amazing herself, you know, as a songwriter. So, and again, much older than me and a lot more experience. So I always try to gravitate towards people that are older because I learned so much about music through them as well. So I feel like I can learn from them. And I really value their input, you know, and their advice, you know. So yeah.
Okay, Belle, thank you very much. Do you have anything, any closing statement for the people out there listening to our video and podcast? Anything you want to share with the world? So this would be the time and place now.
Stay true to your path always. And thanks for listening. And thanks for having me on this awesome show.
Thank you very much for joining me.
It. Yeah.
You're very welcome. Okay, so thank you. And
I hope I wasn't too boring.
No. It was just sometimes it was a little bit harder to follow, but that's fine. Let's the listeners hopefully will get intrigued and just follow you by your music, because I think it makes more sense if you kind of really have it with a music, when all the things you told me about make more sense. And you have to have them in a special light, and the light is the music here. That's at least how I see it. And so, to all the listeners out there, check out Belle Phoenix and the Subterranean Sea, because this will answer all the questions you might have if you after this podcast episode.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye bye. How do you say goodbye in Finnish?
You can say moi moi, which is more if you're a friend, close if you know them, or hey hey, which is a little bit more.
Hey.
What's the word?
Dann auf Wiedersehen.
Official.
Auf Wiedersehen und
Auf Wiedersehen.
auf Wiedersehen, ja, und
Auf
tschüss.
Wiedersehen.